Hello everyone and welcome back to Yerkin English. Today we are going to be following the A2 level course, and we are going to be learning about possessive nouns. So, first of all, what are possessives? Possessives show ownership. They show that something belongs to someone or something. In other words, they possess something. For example, if you want to show that a book belongs to a guy, it will be stated as the guy's book. So overall, possessives, they show that an object, a person, a thing belongs to something else. So in this example, the book belongs to the guy. So how do we make possessives? For possessives, there are three major rules. First rule is set for singular nouns. So to make a singular noun into its possessive form, we just need to add an apostrophe and an S. For example, here we have the word car, which is a singular noun, and by adding the apostrophe and S, it will turn into a possessive noun. So cars. Cars can be used for example, the car's horn or the car's steering wheel. So the steering wheel belongs to the car, which is a singular noun. And then the second rule is for plural nouns. And plural nouns are nouns which have more than one thing. For example, a car is one car, but cars it can be multiple cars. For example, 2, 3, or 4 cars. How to make a plural noun ending with an S, which is cars, into a possessive noun, we just need to add only an apostrophe. So here in this example, we, instead of using cars, we use dogs, and instead of adding an apostrophe and an S, like in the first rule, we only add an apostrophe. And here we can see dogs is owner, for example, where there are multiple dogs and they all share one object, or it doesn't even have to relate to one object. It can mean that the dogs own multiple other objects. For example, the dogs' houses. The final rule is for plural nouns that don't end with an S. And these plural nouns are irregular plural nouns. And for them, we instead of just adding an apostrophe like for regular plural nouns, we consider the first rule where we add an apostrophe and an S. So here, the word mice is used for multiple mouses, but because it's an irregular plural noun, instead of saying mouses, we say mice. And because of that, the word mice doesn't have the letter S in the ending, so we can't use the rule where we can only use an apostrophe. So we say mices. For example, the mice's cheese, the mice's coal, the mice's house, anything else that belongs to this multiple of mice. If we follow the rules and go further in depth on the first rule, which is applied for singular nouns, we can further understand that a noun is a person, place, or thing. I'm assuming, because this is the A2 level course, that we already know what nouns are, because we have learned that in the A1 level course. But noun can refer to a person, place, or thing. Singular means that there is only one, and I have already justified that. For example, if the singular noun specialist has a laptop, the possessive form is the specialist's laptop. So here we can see that to show the possessiveness of the laptop towards the specialist, we added an apostrophe and an S, because this is rule number 1, and specialist refers to one person. If we go further in depth on the second rule, then we can further understand what a plural noun is. And I've already explained that plural nouns are, instead of singular like boy, we say boys as the plural term. In this example, boys, one S was already used to make this noun a plural, so a second S isn't necessary. And here, like in the first rule, we add another S. But in the second rule, because an S was already added to make the noun plural, we don't need to add another one. So in this example, the 3 boys' notebooks, we don't add an S and say the 3 boys' notebook. If that makes any sense, we can move on to the third rule. And irregular plural nouns are made into plurals without adding an S. So here we can see that for the irregular plural noun, it doesn't have an extra S, so it can't apply to the second rule. And because of that, we can actually add another S with the apostrophe to make it a possessive noun. So here we can see the example that the car belongs to the men's car. It isn't the men's car, it isn't the men apostrophe car, it's men's car because it doesn't have an extra S. Men is the plural form of man, which is a singular. So we have another example that the cheese belongs to the mice's cheese, there is no extra S at the end, so we add an apostrophe and an S. The children own the toys. Children is the plural form of child, which is the singular noun, and it doesn't end with an S because children is another irregular plural noun. We can add an apostrophe with an S, the children's toys. If that makes sense, then we can move on to the practice. First question is that we need to make this the sentence into a possessive form. So the coat belongs to the woman's coat, because woman is a singular. If it were woman with an E, then that would be a plural form and we would use the third rule. But because woman is only one, then we use the first rule. The bone belongs to the dog. Dog is a singular noun, so we follow the first rule and add an apostrophe with an S. The dog's bone. The pencil belongs to Jack. Jack is a name and it's a singular noun because it addresses one person. If it were multiple people like Jacks or Aishas or Aiguls, then because the name applies to multiple people with the same name, then that would be a plural noun. But Jack only applies to one person, so it's a singular noun and we use the first rule. Then the jump rope belongs to the kids. Kids is a plural noun, but it ends with an S, unlike the third rule where the plural nouns don't end with an S. We can use the second rule to correct this and say the kids' jump rope. It doesn't need an extra S because it already has one, so we only add an apostrophe. Here we can check our understanding and we can connect the dots to the singular owner, the plural owner, and the regular plural noun owner. I'll give you some time, you can pause the video to answer this question, and here we can see the answers. The singular owner is Sarah's pencil, because Sarah is one person instead of multiple, so you can use the first rule, which applies to singular people. Then the plural owner is the player's basketball. Players is multiple people, so it's plural, and we can only add an apostrophe. Okay, so the irregular plural owner is the men's hat. Men, as I said before, it is a irregular plural noun, so it doesn't end with an S, so we can add an apostrophe with an S. So the men's hat. Let's do a brief overview of our lesson and what have we learned. We have learned that possessive apostrophes tell us who or what owns an object or thing. So using the apostrophe with or without the S according to the rule and according to the person who owns the object or thing, we know how to properly say that own something or possess something with this lesson. And then we know where the apostrophe goes depending if the owner is singular or plural. So thank you for paying attention and thanks for learning with us, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye!